Yeah, aside from these vlogs that are therapeutic, being musical, the arts, expression in that way for me has been therapeutic, but I haven't had the ability or resources or support to really incorporate singing again in my life like I did when I was house sitting in Quebec, more than 3 years ago now. There was a lot of creative songs that I still so much enjoy watching and listening to now, and sometimes laughing with how silly and parodies I made them. I'm thinking I might have to start singing these spoken vlogs now without music, which you're not gonna like. And I'm listening to CBC, and they're interviewing this author, and she says, everybody kind of wants to be loved in the way that they're accepted. You're an okay person for who you are. And I don't have that, and most people don't have that. I mean, I'm told by relatives they love me, but they act a certain way. And then I could say, well, if that's love for you, avoiding to talk about things that are important to talk about with, not about the state of the human condition, but in the interactions and relationships in our family, then, that's not the kind of love that I would define as something to brag about, right? And I'm not like that. And my sibling would think it came from the father figure, but it as much, if not more, came from the mother figure. And then he's doing it, and my niece and nephew are the same. So there's 3 generations who can't talk about things that families should be able to talk about if they really love each other. So it's quite sad. At least this guy here is capable of having a real conversation with me if we're, let's say, frustrated with each other. And that's how we made so much progress and we cohabitate so well. So why can't land mammals with bigger brains do this anymore? Because they had to survive, when they were, let's say, hunter gatherers. I think I'd be a good hunter gatherer, but I think I'd be more likely the kind of person that can, have learned a lot of the skill sets to travel by myself and then tell stories, learn things, and tell stories and learn things, and tell new stories and learn things as I travel among different groups. And I see that even though you spend a long periods of time by yourself, in that past, like our ancestors who did that would, because there's no trains or buses or planes, right, to go to the next place, and you're not even sure where the next community is because you might have done that loop, let's say, in the last 3 years. Cycles of climate, not, well, cycles of seasons, but they might have moved on, right? And they might have decided that after your last visit. So, but then you become somebody who can track them or learn about the environment. Getting the big picture by looking further away, right? Not having limited tunnel vision, living your entire life in the same area, doing the exact same thing. If you look at parents and the careers they chose, you can tell if they were child centered, because a lot of time they choose careers that are the path of least resistance for them, but not necessarily the best role modeling for their children. And then you can see that because their children end up, you know, picking up the same patterns.